Yes, guys, what's going on? Welcome to Adam McKola TV. I am Adam. We are back. This is, of course, the preview for Everton against Manchester United. And after back-to-back defeats for the Reds against Arsenal and Istanbul Başakşehir, United coming into this one needing a victory. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer under pressure in the firing line from all quarters, as his job is obviously coming under discussion as well. We're hearing rumours linking Manchester United with potential negotiations with Mauricio Pochettino, and you know what that means. Any slip up from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could be the end of him. Could this be his last game if we don't get the result? That is all the rage, all the talk at the moment as we go into an international break after this game. But hopefully Manchester United can get 3 points at Goodison Park, turn their form around and get back on track. No better place to do it, obviously, up against the Ancelotti side, who started off the season pretty well. In the last couple of weeks with a couple of injuries to key players for them, they have dropped off a little bit, but nevertheless they've still made a pretty good start to the season. So United will be going there knowing we face a difficult task at hand. We go there knowing we need to get 3 points. And to be fair, we've seen in the past when Solskjaer's been under pressure, the players have stepped up and delivered for him. And that's why I don't like to buy into any of the lazy analysis that, you know, these players aren't fighting for the shirt or fighting for the badge or fighting for the manager. We've seen it on a number of occasions that when, you know, the manager's been under pressure, they've dug in for him and got him a result. It's just down to consistency with this team, with this manager as well. You know, in setup, in tactics, in style, we need consistency. We need consistency in performance, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's setup has let him down in a couple of games. Now, some of the mistakes we made against Istanbul was schoolboy. I don't think Ole tells anybody to defend like that or mark like that, but I do think that comes down to work on the training pitch, to communication off the training pitch and off the pitch as well, talking to each other. That day, we knew Luke Shaw was taking corners. Harry Maguire went up for the corners. He went into the box to attack those. Axel Tuanzebe went up as well. You know, Wan-Bissaka, we had nobody back apart from the Man Utd, whose positioning was awful. So many things had to go wrong for that to happen. And it kind of just epitomised where Manchester United are when it goes wrong. When it goes right, it goes very well for Manchester United. But when it goes wrong, it looks that bad at times. And I can't remember it looking as bad as it did against Istanbul. And that is why you start to worry. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully we can turn it around this weekend against Everton and get a positive result because we need it as well. We're dropping behind our rivals in the league table. We need to be catching up with them and getting back on track. It's too early to be losing all these games and all these points. So, you know, it could be Ollie's last game if we don't get a result, but he needs to. Looking at the teams as well, and when you look at the two teams, obviously Everton. Now let's look at. I was looking at some team news yesterday for Everton. Manchester United's team news. Nothing's really changed. Alex Telles had a COVID test, and I believe he's back in with the squad now. But whether he's going to be available for this game remains to be seen, having just had 2 weeks out. So he's back, but probably not back early enough. So we're without Eric Bailly, Phil Jones. Victor Lindelof is a question mark, and Jesse Lingard's not fit enough yet. So those are the United's injury news. But Everton, it says on live scores, on flash scores, they will be without Mason Holgate, Gabamin, Richarlison and James Rodriguez. Seamus Coleman and Ben Godfrey are questionable for them. But James Rodriguez and Richarlison would be massive misses. Now they still have quality in their ranks. Obviously in the dugout, in Carlo Ancelotti, but also Dominic Calvert-Lewin's been phenomenal for them this season. He looks like a proper striker at the moment. He's doing really well. He's taking instruction on board and he's scoring goals as well. Looking good for Everton. You also look at the likes of Bernard, you know, even Iwobi. These kind of players can cause you Sigurdsson. They can cause you problems. They can cause you problems on their day. Now, they're not as threatening as Richarlison, James Rodriguez. They're not as threatening as those guys, but they still have quality within their ranks that you have to be aware of. Further back in that midfield, they have a good midfield presence, a solid midfield presence. And when you're looking at Alan and Decore, those are two players that will probably provide a little bit of balance to Manchester United's midfield. When we look at, we need a DM. Matic isn't getting any younger. McTominay and Fred, it's not really their natural roles. Like, Alan for us would be mint. But so you look at them and they've got a very good squad at the moment. Everton, and they've got a very good team and a very, very good manager as well. An elite manager in Carlo Ancelotti. So going to Goodison Park isn't what it used to be, and we know last season we got hammered there. Was it last season we got hammered there? Was it the season before? Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we got hammered there 4-0, and he said some of these players won't still be here. And obviously that was a game that you can think of being one of the lowest points under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Manchester United. You think of David Moyes' reign, a 3-0 defeat at Goodison Park signalled the end for him. And you remember those pictures of him with the Grim Reaper in the stands behind him at Goodison Park. So there's loads of these little memories of Goodison Park, and with the pressure being on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, with an international break coming up, you don't want to get a bad result. Now, United, we need to fix up. We know it. What kind of team we're going to play, who knows? Because you look at the team that started the other day. Now, out of that team, who could you possibly see starting? I don't see Dean Henderson starting this game. Wan-Bissaka, yeah. Maguire, yeah. Those two generally start. I don't think Twanzebe will be in the team. And Luke Shaw will probably be in the team because we don't have another option. Form-wise, he's been as bad as anybody else. He shouldn't be in the team. But there you go. So you're probably looking at 3 players from the back 4 who will survive. David De Gea will probably come in, and Victor Lindelof will come in if he can. If not, I'm not too sure what happens there, because Eric Bailly's out injured as well. In the midfield, I don't think Matic will survive. Don't think Scott McTominay will survive. I don't think Donny van der Beek will start. I don't think he was a bad player. I don't think he was a bad player for us at all. But I don't think he will start the next game. So you're looking at it, and there's probably going to be a lot of changes for Manchester United. Martial, Rashford will probably be the only 2 players from the midfield and the attack that start this game. So it's an interesting one that's coming up. How do we set up? Do we show them respect? Because in the last games against Chelsea and Arsenal, we've gone out and showed them far too much respect, played way too negative, and as a result, we've been disjointed. There's been no connection between midfield and attack, and defence and attack. You look at the Arsenal game, too flat. We had a defence, 2 defensive midfielders, Pogba and Bruno, disjointed, out of position. Rashford and Greenwood were isolated. Now coming into this game, I think we'll go back to that 4-2-3-1, or at least I'd hope we'd go back to the 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, because the diamond just isn't working. Isn't working for United. It's leaving far too much space in front of your fullbacks. You haven't got the fullbacks that actually play it. Maybe if you had Alex Telles, you could, and a more mobile holding midfielder, you could. But we haven't got the fullbacks available to play it at the moment, and I just don't think it's doing us any favours. I think maybe Ollie's gone to do that to give us a little bit more defensive stability after we conceded so many goals against Palace and Spurs. Maybe he's gone to overcompensate with that defensive stability, but it's taken away what we're actually good at, and we need to get better at finding our attackers. Bruno's looked poor in the last couple of games, but he's also been isolated. Pogba, Rashford, Martial, even though he scored a good goal, looked poor. So we need to be bringing our best players into the game, these attacking players into the game, and getting the best out of them, rather than setting up and thinking of what their best players are going to do. And yes, you show respect to other teams, but you know, at the same time, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer anyway, we've usually gone for it, and I feel like he's gone away from that. Now, if you're going to get sacked, you go out on your sword. You know what I mean? Like, go for it, rather than playing this weird football that, to be fair, he hasn't really done before. Really negative style, or real negative attitude in terms of overcompensating defensively. I think he just needs to go for it, man. And whatever will be, I guess. Let's have a look at what some of you lot are saying. I don't buy into that. Ramil says players down tools too easily, and we get all this every single time. These same players have got 3 managers sacked. Well, they haven't. It's a completely different squad to Moyes, a completely different squad to Van Gaal, and it's a very different squad to the one that Jose Mourinho left. I actually think Solskjaer's done a lot of good for this squad. It's just whether he's the man to take us forward now, and it's looking less likely as the games go by. But there's still time for him to turn that around. So let's see what happens. Ramil wants to see a 4-3-3. Glenn, he thinks it's the end for Ollie. Scott McTominay keeps running around cluelessly. Yeah, I don't want to see Scott McTominay starting. Lokesh says Glazer's throwing Ollie under the bus. Should have put money in and got a right winger and a centre back. And whilst I agree with the fact that we should have had a better summer, that doesn't excuse some of the performances that we've seen, because we've had more than good enough to win some of these individual games. Like, I thought the same with Jose. He should have been backed more in the summer, just before he got sacked. But then some of the things that he did were his own fault. And it's the same with Solskjaer. Yes, he should have had more backing in the summer, but we shouldn't have needed Jadon Sancho to be the difference between us getting results or not. Do you know what I mean? We still had enough in those squads, in those teams, to be able to get the result. So yeah, just, you can think the board didn't back him, and also think he had to do better with what he has. You can think that maybe his time's coming to an end and still support him to do well and want him to do well. People see things far too binary, far too black and white, when it comes to, like, there's always an in-between somewhere, you know what I mean? Our passing in the final third has been terrible, says Ronan. Yeah, we've isolated our front 3. When you watch different passages of play, from the Istanbul game and from the Arsenal game, there was times when it was Martial and Rashford against Istanbul, and it was Rashford and Greenwood against Arsenal, and Bruno would go in between the middle of the 2, and they'd be really flat and high up top, and then you'd have Pogba out kind of on the left here, and Fred and McTominay, or Matic and McTominay, and it'd go into like a weird 4-3-3 with a flat 3 midfielders holding in front of your defence, Pogba just out a little bit further on the left, and then a weird front 3 with Bruno almost as a false 9, and it just doesn't work. And then at times Bruno would drop deep, and the shape was just awful. There was a big hole in the middle of the park. And that's why Thomas Partey in that against Arsenal had freedom of the pitch. It was just a weird shape, and those things aren't down to us not getting it right in the summer in terms of the transfer market. Those things are down to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that's why he has to take some responsibility as manager for some of the mistakes that we are seeing. Chuck Ike, thank you very much for your super chat, mate. I appreciate that. Ryan says we need to break the cycle and stick with Ollie, man. He's got a year left on his contract. Let it run down and see. Woodward should be getting sacked. whilst I agree that Woodward should get sacked, and I don't think now is the time to be sacking Ole yet. I think he earned enough credit in the bank with getting us third last season to be given a little bit more time at the very least. I don't think just sticking with the manager because that's what we did with Fergie, it'll work. Like, we haven't stuck with a manager. No, if you stick with Moyes, it doesn't get any better. If you stick with Van Gaal, maybe it does get a little bit better, but it's not going to get to the level where we want. If you stick with Mourinho, that definitely wouldn't have got any better. Yes, he's doing okay at Spurs at the moment, but it wouldn't have got any better. And you've got to give the time to the right man. I don't know whether Ole is the right man or the wrong man or not. I'm not, I had my doubts about him and I have my doubts about him, but I want him to prove those wrong. But we should just stick with someone. It's a bit, what if I was manager? You just stick with someone. It's not going to get better. Do you know what I mean? So you got to just do more than hoping that sticking with someone. Chuck says, regarding Ole taking us forward, I think I've seen more progression under him than under any previous manager. Under this board, we are going nowhere but round in circles. I agree with that as well. I do think no way does it get better with Jose, David. No way. I don't know. You need to take it back to where we were when when Jose got sacked. But as for what Chuck was saying, I agree. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has definitely took us to a better place in terms of the squad, the team, the profile of some of the players, the feeling around the camp amongst the fans, etc. And I think, let's say it didn't go well against Everton, or even if it did go well against Everton and the club decided to get rid of him, I think you'd look back at Solskjaer's period fondly as a time where you got some really good results, but it wasn't just quite good enough. But he did some good things where he changed the team around, he changed the fortunes around and laid the foundations for another manager to come in. I think you'd look back at it fondly. You just don't want it to have that bitter, sour ending, do you? But hopefully, he'll sort it around. 81 points into God, some of you have short memories, man. Seriously. Anyway, enough of that. Let's have a look at the 11s. Just gonna have to move myself again. So there you go. There's the 11 that I have gone with for this game. David De Gea in goal. Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw. This is predicted 11 again. Not my preferred 11. Probably be a little bit different. But De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw. I'd like to see Tellez in the team, but it's probably too early for him, having just come back. Lindelof has been looking good recently. I think he's been the best of our centre halves. Maguire's obviously going to keep his spot, as will Wan-Bissaka. I don't think McTominay or Matic's performances were that good midweek, and therefore I think we'll see Fred come in, who didn't play. I would like to see Donny van der Beek given another opportunity, but I don't think it's going to happen. So I think we'll see Paul Pogba in there with Bruno Fernandes, Rashford, Greenwood and Anthony Martial. Then we'll go with the 4-2-3-1. I wanted to see Cavani potentially start against Istanbul, but it looks like Ollie's going to be giving him time and probably getting ready to start after the international break. And Anthony Martial being available for a Premier League game for the first time in weeks. He's not going to be on the bench for this one. So I think it's going to be this kind of team for the game against Everton. I'm really looking forward to the game as a battle between two teams. Like, you look at it, it's a good battle. I think with the injuries that they've got in James Rodriguez, Richarlison, I think we will edge it, but it's still not one of those games where you can guarantee United get a victory, and we do need a victory. I don't think, if it's a bad defeat, I don't think Ole survives. If it's a hard-fought 1-0 defeat, I think he survives, but they start proper doing the work behind his back. to replace him in December or something, or after the next bad result. I already think they're doing that. That's how this club work. That's how all football clubs work. And they'll be preparing for his demise, of course. But I think we'll be able to get a result. I really do think we're going to go there and win for some reason. I don't know whether it's optimism, stupidity, whatever. But you can see flaws in the Everton play. Without Richarlison and without Rodriguez, we've got a little bit less in terms of attack. Still got big threat in Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But I think we can go there and get a result. I really do. But we need some big performances. It was good to see Anthony Martial scoring against Istanbul. His first start in a while. Obviously he started in the game against Leipzig, but he's been in and out of the team. So to see him get that goal was good. His performance all round for the full 90 minutes wasn't amazing, but that goal will help. So he's got 2 goals in his last 2 starts after a drought for himself. And we need to see that converted to the Premier League. We missed him against Arsenal in terms of the focal point to work off, but we need to get players closer to them. We need to get that midfield of Pogba and Fred closer to Bruno and Greenwood and Rashford, so that we can create more. Because we haven't done that enough in the last couple of games. We definitely didn't do it enough against Arsenal and Chelsea, and we were abysmal against Istanbul. So we need to be a lot better. David De Gea coming back into goal, I think, is an obvious one as well. Not that Dean Henderson was to blame, but that's the way I think that one will go. Jack says, Andy Mitten tweeted about how vocal McTominay was once he came on against Istanbul. Do you think his attitude warrants a start? Not really, no. He's not really been great either. Hides a lot on the pitch at times, and whilst he talks, and I think it's just having the intelligence to play that role in front of the defence. Maybe he's someone that needs to be a bit further up the pitch as well, because I don't think he's a natural defensive midfielder. He hasn't got the intelligence to do that. But what he is someone that will work hard. He will speak to people around him. He will do the basics very well, which is what you always need. But I personally wouldn't start him. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him start at all. Score prediction for me, I'm going to go a 2-1 win for United. I don't know why, but I'm just going to go there because I think every time Oli needs a result, he seems to pull it out of the bag. So that's my score prediction. That's my predicted 11 for this game. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you're keeping it liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing as well. We had a weekly United go out yesterday which looked at the Pochettino rumours a little bit more, and you can go and check that out. But for now, I have been Adam McKola. You lot have been legends. This has been the Everton preview. I'm out of here.